Report. We happen to be looking at a temperature this morning of 38 degrees at our broadcast center, 1 Merrimack Street, downtown Market Square. And our next high tide is going to be this evening right around 8:45. That's our latest look at the news, brought to us by the New Report 5-cent Savings Bank. Now with Finance Works. It's powered by Quicken, free and easy to use, great for small businesses. Get details at the New Report 5-cent Savings Bank. Also, you can get details online at newreportbank.com. I'm Wynn David on the Legends, AM 1450 WNBP and WNBP.com. 8:38 is our time, and we have a very special guest with us, Kate St. Vincent Vogel. And Kate, welcome to the Morning Watch program.
Thanks so much for having me here today, Wynn. It's really a pleasure to be here.
Well, no, thank you for stopping by. We had a mutual friend, Kristen Wall,
Yes.
who came by to tell us all about your story. And you have written a book. You are going to be appearing at the Book Rack on State Street in New Report tomorrow afternoon at 4 o'clock. And why don't you tell us a little bit about your story, because it is an interesting story.
Well, thanks so much, Wynn, and I'm so delighted to be able to share my story here in Newburyport, where there are so many literary greats here, and to be able to share this story. It's a memoir. My birth mother found me through my mom's obituary, so it really has been quite a journey from the time that she called me up through, it's been 15 years now, and not many, I know that there are a lot of memoirs out there about adoption, but they don't talk about what happens after the reunion. They usually focus on what the search is like. And so this memoir shows what it can be like to develop and build a relationship with someone on the other side of the adoption triad.
And you can just imagine that, when you meet your birth mother or birth parent, that, I'm sure that not everything is forgiven right away, or it's not smooth sailing, is it?
Well, it's interesting because I know a lot of people have a lot of trepidation about making that first call or how to approach it and everything. And for me, it really has been a fairy tale story, because when Val started looking for me, she worked through the Adoption Network Cleveland, and they ask you to take a year's worth of counseling before they give you that information. So she really had all the tools at her fingertips as to the best way to approach the phone call, and then also what to expect on the other end. And when she made that phone call to me, I wasn't expecting it. My mother had just passed away. And it was a Saturday night, and the phone rang at 10 o'clock at night almost, and my husband and I knew that nothing good came from phone calls. This time of night, we'd grown past the time of people calling from payphones at bars. And so we get this phone call, and it's this woman asking if I was Kate St. Vincent Vogel, and if my father was James St. Vincent of Medina, Ohio. And at that moment, I thought for sure my father had gone off the road, and she was notifying next of kin. Talk about next of kin. The next thing she said was, "I gave birth to a baby girl on this date in this hospital. Would that be you?" And I'm a lawyer by training, so my initial reaction was, well, I don't know how many baby girls were born in that hospital on that date. But she launched into a description of everything about my parents, all the stories that you hear around the family table, and to have this stranger rattling them off, and my mother had just died. Well, it was just a very emotional experience.
Oh, cow. Yeah. Your heart must have been racing.
Oh, it was. Well, the neat thing was that when I realized who it was, first thing I said was thank you, because I just think how different my life would have been if she hadn't made the courageous decision that she did.
Wow. So you've been able to keep the relationship going and growing too, right?
Yes, it was difficult at first, although I was very appreciative of everything that she did. My mother had just died, and there was a lot of difficulty in being able to move forward with the relationship with Val, because growing up, every time my sister would get into a fight with my mom, she would throw out, well, my real mom would let me. And that would just break my mother's heart. So to think that I would be reaching out to this woman that my mom would have that hurt my mom to think that she might show up at her door, it was difficult for me to break down that barrier, even though I wanted to meet her, and we met and we talked. But to go beyond that, I was reluctant to. And in fact, the first birthday that I had after she contacted me, I was really quite a snot. I told her, don't even send me a birthday card, which is a horrible thing to say. But I knew that my dad wasn't the kind to send birthday cards. He wasn't organized. That was everything that my mom did. And so to think that my dad wouldn't be sending me a card, that Val would, I didn't think that I could handle it, so I did. And so, but it came to, she was sending I was totally fine with her sending my kids cards and presents. And so we started asking her to join us for events like, the Children's First Communion and things like that. So over the years, it became that she was coming to these things. She was giving my children's gifts and my husband gifts. And finally, I realized, that's kind of silly. You can go ahead and send me your birthday card now.
I want gifts.
I know I want gifts, and it's weird because that's not, you're raised that you don't ask for gifts, but I needed to let her know I would be okay with it. And at that point too, I asked her if she would mind if my children called her Nana. And so she is Nana Val to them, and they don't remember a time when she wasn't. So she's a grandmother to my girls now that my mom could never be. So
nice.
It's wonderful to be able to share that with her.
Well, she went through all the counseling you mentioned from the adoption agency, or they got her hooked up with the counseling. Do you think it was the timing was right to contact you almost as shortly after your mother died?
Oh, absolutely. I think it's some sort of cosmic balance sort of thing, because if she had contacted me any other time, I don't know that I would have been ready. Certainly before, when she first went to them, at that moment my mom was still battling cancer, and if she would have reached out to me then before that, years worth of counseling, I wouldn't have been ready at all. And to have her call, have her find me through my mom's obituary and reach me at that moment in my life, I think it's sort of that my mom couldn't be there. She knew she couldn't be there, so she gave me someone else to be able to be there for me. And it just is amazing how things just have a way of working out.
Yeah, it's almost like, although she didn't really, but it's almost like she just stepped right in.
Exactly. That's exactly what happened.
How about that? So the book is called Lost and Found, a memoir of mothers. And Kate St. Vincent Vogel's our guest. She's going to be over at the Book Rack on State Street in Newburyport tomorrow afternoon at 4. And are you doing a lot of these author talks?
I've got another at Trident Booksellers in Boston while I'm here. I've been able to do a lot in the Twin Cities, which is where I'm from. And I teach there at the Loft Literary Center, which is the nation's largest and most comprehensive literary center. So I'm honored to be there and be able to teach there as well. But this summer I also went through the Midwest, through the Cleveland area and through Pittsburgh, and was able to share my story there. And in fact, while I was there, I was able to connect again with the Adoption Network Cleveland, and we partnered and offered some talks there to help the people who are interested in search and reunion to be able to use them as a resource too. And what was neat, when we first launched the book, it was actually at the National Adoption Convention, where both Val, my birth mother, and I presented the work together and presented a forum to the folks there at the convention. So that was a wonderful opportunity to spring that we took.
Oh, nice. And how did you decide to actually write a book? What caused that?
Well, I've always wanted to be a writer. When I was in first grade, we had to do this little form about how many pets we had, and I had 3 dogs, a cat, and 26 horses. And what did you want to be? I wanted to either be an astronaut, the first female astronaut, or a writer. And since Sally Ride kind of beat me to the first thing, I had to be a writer. So.
All right. Well, you got the book. It's a nice book. You've gotten some good reviews on it, I see,
Thank
from
you.
the Minneapolis Star Tribune and some other papers as well.
Mm-hmm.
And you have your own website too, KateVogel.com.
That's right. Kate Vogel, and just a couple of 4-letter words.
And you'll be at the Book Rack tomorrow afternoon at 4 o'clock on State Street in Newburyport.
Yes, I'm very much looking forward to that opportunity. Thank you, Wynn.
All right. Well, Kate, thank you so much, and good luck.
Thank you so much.
Nice
A pleasure
to
to
meet
be
you.
here.
All right.
Nice to meet you.
8:47 is our time this morning on the Morning Watch program.